Greetings, Poké fans! Michael here, and today I'm going to be trying my toughest Pokemon playthrough challenge yet. Can you beat Pokemon Platinum? That covers all the intro stuff, so let's dive in. The first step is picking a starter, and I went with Piplup. Those of you familiar with my content might be confused by this pick, since in the past I have not been shy about my disdain for Empoleon. However, I thought that maybe by choosing this Pokemon and embarking on such an incredibly difficult and challenging journey together, the two of us might form a bond. A James Bond. I named the Piplup James. Next, I caught a Starly, since a strong Pokemon like Staraptor will be necessary for a challenge such as this. I named it Nimbus, but it had an attack lowering nature, so I caught another one. I named this one Stratus, but it had a speed lowering nature, so I caught another one. I named it Cyrus, and it had a defense lowering nature, which I could live with, so I went with this one. After a bit of training, I had my second battle with my rival, not subbed. Because after all, those who are not subbed are the enemy. Make sure to subscribe, everyone. Turn on notifications, you know the thing. By the way, I won my first battle against my rival. I didn't mention that earlier because it didn't work well with the timing of the James Bond joke because my Piplup did not have a nickname yet. So anyways, for the second battle, I won it easily thanks to Cyrus OHKOing both of his Pokemon. The next event of note was the first gym battle against Rourke. James took down Geodude with one hit, then Onix with two thanks to a potion. This made James level up to its evolution level 16, and I became worried that if it got all the experience from Cranidos, it would level up again and miss Prinplup's level 16 Metal Claw as a result. This led me to do some wacky switching, bringing in Cyrus for a bit, but after surviving with just 4 HP, James took down Cranidos. After the battle, both James and Cyrus evolved, each receiving an increase in power and a decrease in cuteness. I made my way to Floroma Town in the Valley Windworks without catching any other Pokemon, which meant it was soon time to battle Mars and her demonic Purugly. Cyrus took down Zubat, but took a crit bite in the process. Then came the true threat, the Purugly. Thanks to this fat cat somehow being faster than my bird, it got Cyrus down to red HP before Cyrus could even land one hit. I withdrew Cyrus so I could bring it back in and intimidate later, so in went James. While the Purugly repeatedly attacked, James kept using Bubble, which was weak, but had a chance to slow it down. James got Purugly down to about a quarter health before falling, but his sacrifice allowed Cyrus to come back in and land a crit quick attack, winning me the battle. To be honest, I do not know if the crit mattered for that last quick attack, but if it did, oh my god, I would have lost. I told you guys, this is a brutally difficult playthrough challenge. A little while later, I arrived in Eterna City to admire the statue that I made that color edit of that's gone wildly viral. Seriously, I see my own picture on my Instagram Explore page like at least once a week. Then I challenged Gardenia for the second badge. Cyrus OHKO'd Turtwig right away. Cherim took a few hits to KO due to its bulk and some potions, but Cyrus eventually took it down after only taking one hit. Finally was Roserade, which Cyrus OHKO'd. A terrifyingly close battle, but one that ended in victory. Real quick side note for those who don't know, whenever I say I OHKO'd something, OHKO is OHKO, which is short for one hit knockout. I took it down using just one attack. With Cut in hand, I could now oust Team Galactic from their own building. On the top floor, I had to battle Jupiter, and James took her Zubat out using just a couple Bubble Beams. In came Skuntank, whose Night Slash did a disturbingly large amount, and my Bubble Beams did disturbingly little. James only landed one hit before falling, but this allowed Cyrus to come in and intimidate it. Cyrus repeatedly wing attacked while Skuntank failed to land any poison gases. Finally, Cyrus took it down. Another incredibly difficult battle in this very tough challenge. Once that was done, I decided to head to Wayward Cave. With how difficult of a playthrough challenge this is, I need strong Pokemon. And what Pokemon could be stronger than the strongest trainer's strongest Pokemon? That's right, I wanted Garchomp. All I had to do was make a beeline for the secret segment of Wayward Cave, go in there, and catch a Gible. But then what happened next? Well, I think it's better to show you than tell you. What? What? Oh my god! I don't believe this. I don't believe this. I have not modded the odds of this game. I just... What? Oh my god. And I have it on camera. I think I might just huck Pokeballs because it's a Zubat. It's gotta have a high catch rate, right? What? I named my full 1 in 8,000 odds shiny Zubat Ambush because it was one of the synonyms for surprise on thesaurus.com, and I just thought it sounded really cool. After that chaos, I finally did what I intended to do in Wayward Cave and caught a Gible I later named Kalahari, and also biked my way through to get the TM for Earthquake, which is a crazy strong TM to get this early. I began training up Ambush, who shortly evolved into a glorious green Golbat. Alliteration. And then I went to the other side of Wayward Cave to rescue Mira, and in that process, Kalahari evolved into Gabite. After this, I decided to look up Gabite and Garchomp's level up moveset because I wanted to see when they learned a ground type move that was stronger than Sand Tomb, and I was disturbed to see that I didn't get Dig to level 40, and also never got Earthquake by level up. But I just got the Earthquake TM, might as well use it. I promptly taught Kalahari Earthquake, meaning I had a Gabite with Earthquake before the 3rd gym. This was going to be fun. Before long, it was time for the 3rd gym battle against Fantina. Despite using Ambush to bite my way through the gym trainers, I led with James. I did this because I knew her Duskull knew Will-O-Wisp, and James was my only special attacker who did not care about the burn attack drop. James was burned right away, so clearly I made the right call. My penguin friend took a beating in the process, but he was eventually able to take Duskull down. As she brought in Mismagius, I switched to Ambush. Ambush bit first, flinching Mismagius and preventing a Psybeam. It healed with its berry, but Ambush simply had to bite again to take it down. Finally was Haunter, who barely held on from the first bite and then put Ambush to sleep. She healed while I slept, but then Ambush woke up quickly, biting once more and ending the battle. My unsubscribed nemesis then attacked me in the gate, but with the combined efforts of my powerful team, I took him down no problem. My subsequent journey to Veilstone City was uneventful, and thanks to the power of both Ambush and Cyrus, I felt comfortable immediately challenging Maylene's gym. First, Ambush immediately O-code Metatite. Ambush's next wing attack did about 2/3 to Machoke, but then it fired back with a critical hit Rock Tomb, taking out most of Ambush's health and lowering its speed. Due to my fear of being outsped, I swapped in Kalahari, who after tanking a Rock Tomb was able to take down Machoke with Dragon Rage. In came her ace Lucario, which struck with a powerful Force Palm. Kalahari tanked it though, and fired back with just one Earthquake, taking down Lucario and winning me the battle. After that, I knew my next gym battle up was Crasher Wake, the water-type gym leader. And since I didn't have any grass or electric-type Pokemon, I knew it was time to expand the team. My first order of business was to enter the Great Marsh in an attempt to find a Tangela, which let me tell you was pretty freaking annoying. These things like to flee. After catching as many as I could before running out of Safari Balls, which was only 4, I told you it was annoying, I grabbed the strongest one, which I named Tether, and added it to my squad. I did sadly bench Cyrus the Staravia to do this, which was a shame because I quite liked using him, but it didn't make sense to keep him around when I already had Ambush, who I definitely intended to keep around. I wanted to keep expanding the team though, and the next team member I decided I wanted to use was Gallade. I'm quite fond of Gallade and have used it in playthroughs before, but never in a Platinum team. I really wanted it because it's really strong, really cool, and also its fighting type I knew would be very useful. I caught a few male Ralts and Curlias and added the strongest one to my squad named Gallant. After fetching the hidden Dawnstone west of Pastoria and then leveling up Gallant just once so it could become Curlia, I used the Dawnstone to make it a Gallade. And then I spent a long time training it up. And it was annoying to do because its only attack was Magical Leaf, which is a special attack, not good for a physical attacking Gallade, and I had to get it from like level low 20 something all the way to level 31 to teach it Psycho Cut. So that was dull. But at least there were a bunch of water and ground types to the west of Pastoria for me to KO repeatedly. A lot. I was then going to train up Tether against the gym trainers, but I forgot about not subbed attacking me at the door. and this became my toughest battle with him so far since his team was noticeably higher level than mine. I immediately had to withdraw Tether because he led with Staravia, and I went in with Ambush. Thankfully, Staravia's double team didn't make me miss, so Ambush took it down with a couple hits. In came Ponyta, which James almost O-K'd as it lowered his defense. Then Ponyta hit back with a crit stomp, which did so much damage, but James held on and finished off Ponyta. Next was Grottle, which took a very long time for Ambush to KO due to it using Withdraw so many times, but it finally got the job done. Last was Buizel, which Tether handily defeated. Let me tell you, that critical hit stomp, meaning a Ponyta almost took out my water type, that made the adrenaline go, ha-ha! I could finally enter the gym to train up Tether, and during that process it learned Ancient Power and evolved into Tangrowth. A little while later, it was time for the gym battle, and it started horrifically. Wake led with Gyarados and I with Tether since I had no electric type. First, it bit me and flinched me. I knew that could be a problem, so after that I started to go for Stun Spores to make Gyarados slower than me. I then missed 3 consecutive Stun Spores, of which the chance to do so is only 1.5%, and then flinched on the following turn. Flinch, 3 misses, flinch. I did nothing for the first 5 turns. Finally, I landed a Stun Spore, but I was forced to heal since Tether was down to red HP. I then had to use all of my ancient powers, plus a Mega Drain to defeat the Gyarados, since when I got it down to low health, he healed as well. I did not get the Omni Boost any of those times either. Can I just say that in all my Platinum playthroughs over the year, including this incredibly challenging one, the most difficult Pokemon to defeat, in my experience, tends to be frickin' Gyaradoses. Do they have a 4 times weakness? Yes, but they tend to be pretty frickin' fast and carry ground moves. Wake, Cyrus, stop using your Gyaradoses. They're very annoying. Finally, the cursed Gyarados was down and in came Floatzel. Its Ice Fang did a solid chunk to Tether, but Mega Drain healing allowed it to stay alive for 2 hits and then take out Floatzel with 2 hits. Finally was Quagsire, which was an easy one-shot. The battle was won, but not without its frustrations. What an incredibly difficult challenge this is, my gosh. After some defogging and such, I made it to Celestic Town. Then while training against the trainers to the west of town, both James and Ambush reached their final forms after the same battle, which was very exciting. Then it was time to oust Cyrus from the ruins, and immediately I was in trouble. His 3 Pokemon are Sneasel, Golbat, and Murkrow. My only super effective moves for Sneasel were Ancient Power on a grass type and Metal Claw on a special attacker. My only super effective moves for Golbat were Ancient Power on a grass type and Psycho Cut on a fighting type, and then my only super effective move for Murkrow was Ancient Power on a grass type. He led with Sneasel and I led with Gallant, which forced me to switch to James since Psycho Cut can't hit Sneasel and it was my only attack besides Magical Leaf. Sneasel screeched James twice, dropping it to -4 defense, and James' Bubble Beam did less than half in return. I got scared and switched to Tether thinking its bulkiness would save it from the ice moves, but this was wrong. Not only did Ice Punch do more than half, but it froze Tether. I brought back in a refreshed defense James and used Metal Claw this time, which I clearly should have used the first time since it KO'd. In came Golbat and I brought in Gallant. The first Air Cutter did less than half, and Psycho Cut almost O-K'd. Cyrus healed and I Psycho Cut again, which once again barely did not KO. The next turn I somehow outsped, and that finished the Golbat. Finally was Murkrow, who I brought in Kalahari for. Its Drill Peck did 1 less than half health, and my Dragon Claw did a lot, but it healed with its berry. It Drill Pecked again, but got a better damage roll this time and took down Kalahari. I brought in James, who took a Nightshade, barely did not KO with Bubble Beam, then did KO with Aqua Jet the next turn. The primary lesson from that battle was that, my god, I needed some coverage against flying-type Pokemon. Now that I could surf, I got the Brick Break TM from the Orbird Gate basement, finally teaching Gallant a fighting-type move. Not long later, I arrived in Canalave City, where Not Subbed challenged me on the bridge. This battle sucked. His stupid Staraptor got up 6 double teams, and it took me 11 surfs to hit it 1 time. But thankfully, that was all I needed. Against Heracross, I of course missed one more time with Fly, but the second hit from Ambush defeated it easily. Kalahari easily defeated Rapidash, and Ambush took down the substantially higher level Torterra in a few turns. Finally was Floatzel, which Tether easily defeated. I then headed off to Iron Island to do some much needed grinding, and in the process of doing that, well, you're not gonna believe what happened. But I have witnesses because it happened while I was on call with Pokemon 7 and Super Blah, so let's just roll the clip. Yes! What?
What'd you find?
A Graveler!
Dude, they blew up!
It's gonna
Mikey,
blow up!
it's gonna blow up! I found a shiny Graveler in Flip Gen and it blew up on me.
What?
Mikey, it's going to blow up.
What do I do?
Alright, what level is it?
32
Okay, 32.
in Platinum.
Okay. Yes, it has Magnitude, Self-Destruct, Rollout, and Rock Blast.
Oh my god, are you kidding?
I would start chucking balls at it.
Like, that's the most logical thing to do because it can blow up. It's in the ball. One. Broke out.
Oh,
Oh, it shines again every time it breaks out. That's kind of rude.
God.
Magnitude 5. Ultra Ball number 2. One, two, three. Oh, it broke out. No.
Oh no.
It's rolling out. Oh, wait, this is great. It's locked into rollout.
Okay.
It says 64 to 77%. From a level 37, 80 attack and Bullion to a very minimum defense level 32.
Okay, so I'm probably fine, but a crit is.
A crit would get.
Your best bet of catching it is probably back the balls. Obviously, risky.
That's true. All right, I'm metal clawing. It did half.
Oh, good.
Okay, good.
The next rollout did not miss, so it cannot boom. Ultra Ball.
Way out.
1, 2, 3. Yes!
Oh my god, you did it!
Let's go! I named the shiny Graveler Korg at John's suggestion.
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Korg.
And evolved it into a shiny Golem not long later. But anyways, Korg became a new staple member of the team, meaning I did bench Kalahari the Gabite, which I didn't want to do, but also this was a full on shiny, guys. I kind of got to use it. And then later that same day, while battling alongside Riley, this happened. Hello. I got another shiny Graveler. Somehow, I just had to send the ROM file to Nick, aka Superblot, to be like, dude, did I accidentally download a bugged, like one that had boosted odds by accident? He looked at the stuff. He says, no, it's full odds, which I don't understand. I have never gotten this many full odds shinies in this short amount of time in my life. So I guess I'm gonna try to catch this. Oh, all right. Well, now the shiny's dead. This would be upsetting if I didn't already catch one earlier today. So in summation, I got 3 full 1 in 8,000 odds shinies before even having 6 gym badges. I have never, ever gotten more than 1 shiny before beating the league, and most of those ones that I got were later gen 1 in 4,000 odds shinies, so the ones that are more likely to show up. I have never, ever been this lucky in a playthrough. And to any of you that think I might have cheated these shinies in, why would I cheat in shinies for the most annoying cave Pokemon? One of them being one that could blow itself up and then do the blowing up one a second time. After that chaos, I finally took on the 6th gym leader, Byron. My plan was to Swords Dance sweep with Gallant. I set up the Swords Dance, but then of course the Magneton paralyzed Gallant on the one turn where it had the chance to. Gallant was able to take Magneton down, but it being low health and slower than Steelix allowed said Steelix to KO Gallant, ending my Swords Dance sweep hopes. I brought in Korg, who Earthquaked, lived a Flash Cannon, and Earthquaked again to KO Steelix. Finally was Bastiodon, which Korg defeated in one hit. The badge was mine. Next I had to battle Saturn at the exploded Lake Valor. This battle was uneventful, and Korg dealt with his team relatively easily. Next was the battle with Mars at Lake Verity, and this was also mostly uneventful. Gallant swept through her team with little issue. I then began my journey to the Great White North, and caught a few Sneasels in the process. I really wanted Weavile on my team, since not only is it really fast and really strong, but also its stab combination of Dark and Ice would help out with a lot of the upcoming battles, like many members of Cyrus's team, Bertha's team, Lucian's team, and half of Cynthia's team, including her toughest members, Garchomp and Togekiss. Unfortunately, after catching a few Sneasels, I realized that I wouldn't be able to use one quite yet. The soonest Razor Claw is a hidden item in Cyrus's office in the Galactic hideout, but even then, I could not train up my Sneasel just as a Sneasel. That's because Weavile, and only Weavile, learns Night Slash at level 35, meaning if I trained a Sneasel up past that, I would miss Night Slash. Therefore, I made the call to postpone using Weavile until I had the Razor Claw in hand, and then catch a Sneasel that was level 33 or 34 to make absolutely sure that my Weavile would learn Night Slash. It was then time to take on Candace, the 7th gym leader. While James handled Sneasel and Piloswine easily, Abomasnow couldn't be KO'd in one hit, allowing it to get big damage with Focus Blast. James got the KO, but then came Frostlass. Since I wanted to try and feel cool by not using any potions, I let James go down, figuring that my other 4 Pokemon could easily handle Frostlass. This was a mistake! I made the severe oversight that the entire rest of my team was weak to Frostlass's 2 stab types, Ghost and Ice, which allowed it to sweep through all of them and lose me the battle. Can I get a hail? No. I just want to say, if I had had Sneasel, I would have been fine. But no, there's gotta be this weird, stupid moveset thing where only Weavile gets Night Slash at level 35 and Sneasel doesn't. Also, only Sneasel gets Ice Shard at level 49, Weavile doesn't, which means it's impossible to have a Weavile with both Night Slash and Ice Shard in Platinum without using a Heart Scale, which is stupid and ridiculous and I hate it! My apologies. Clearly this very difficult challenge was chipping away at part of my sanity. But I was not about to give in. I immediately challenged Candace again, leading with Gallant to preserve James for Frostlass. Gallant dealt with Sneasel easily, and then I brought in James to fight Frostlass. While it was much easier this time due to it not getting the Snow Cloak boost due to no hail, it still took several turns to take it down due to double team. Eventually though, James was able to do it and take down the Ice Demon Woman thing. James then took down Piloswine, then did big damage to Abomasnow before falling to Focus Blast and Hail. Gallant came back in to finish it off, and the badge was mine. This time, hail yeah. After battling my way through the Galactic hideout, I had my second chance to face Cyrus. Gallant easily took down Sneasel while Korg took down Crobat. Honchkrow confused Korg and I got unlucky with self-hits, so I swapped to James, whose recently taught Ice Beam took down Honchkrow. I then grabbed the hidden Razor Claw and dispatched Saturn with ease. It was then time for me to get my Weavile. I caught several more Sneasels since the first few I caught weren't good enough, and once I found this adamant one, I was very pleased. I named it Devios to make the word devious sound like a cool Roman name. A short while later, I evolved it into Weavile and taught it Ice Punch at the move tutor west of Pastoria. After a bit of training, I made my way up to Mount Coronet to Spear Pillar, having left Tether in the box due to needing an HM Mule. At the top, Not Subbed and I took down Mars and Jupiter without a single one of our Pokemon fainting or switching out. Swords Dance, mwah. Beautiful move. Can't believe I never used boosting moves as a child. Also, it was really nice to have Brick Break up against the 2 Bronzors, which just kept trying to use Reflect and Light Screen, and I just break him every time. After navigating my way through the Let's Flex about the weird stuff and cool graphics we can do on a DS world, it was time for the infamously difficult battle with Cyrus. One of the battles that makes this challenge so insanely tough to complete. James took down Houndoom after taking a hit. Then came Gyarados, in my opinion, his toughest Pokemon. I left in my special attacking James to eat the Intimidate. I then switched to Ambush to avoid the incoming Earthquake. Both of our attacks were 3-hit KOs, and since Ambush was faster, that meant I had the upper hand. Unfortunately, my second fly missed, so Ambush fell. I brought in Devios to outspeed and finish off the Gyarados, but Cyrus healed. Ice Punch landed and froze Gyarados though, which was incredible, and it forced him to switch to his own Weavile. I swapped to Gallant to deal with the Weavile. Devios came back in to deal with Honchkrow, and then he brought back in the Dosicle, and I brought in Gallant to set up Sword Stance after the Intimidate. This allowed Gallant to finish it off, and then finally was his Crobat, which I defeated with a couple Rock Slides from Korg. Next was Giratina, and I simply threw the Master Ball at it. I didn't intend to use Giratina on my team since I'd grown quite attached to the team of 6 that I already had. Plus, I didn't need the Master Ball for another shiny, because if I found another shiny in this run, I did not deserve to catch it. The next event of note was the final gym battle against Volkner. While Korg was able to handle Jolteon no problem, a critical hit Focus Blast from Raichu O-code it, meaning my one ground type was down after only KOing one Pokemon in the electric type battle. There may have been some obscenities yelled. I'm telling you, it's a tough challenge. I brought in Tether, but Raichu's Signal Beam did too much, and Grass Knot did too little. I brought in Gallant, whose high special defense tanked Raichu's attacks very well. I set up Sword Stance and took down Raichu. In came Electivire, who outsped Gallant, but Gallant the Legend lived with 1 HP and O-code Electivire right back. This allowed me to heal against Luxray, then O-code it right afterward, winning me the battle. Gallant the Gallade and his dancing swords were really saving my butt. I got through the victory road with some feints, but nothing super dire. Then had my final battle with Not Subbed at the League. Staraptor's close combat did a ton of damage to James, but it ensured my next Ice Beam would O-code. Then Devios easily O-code Torterra, Ambush easily O-code Heracross, and Tether easily 2-hit KO'd Floatzel. Korg then Quick Claw outsped Rapidash and O-code it, then Gallant finished the battle by taking down Snorlax. That means every team member got a KO, so you know that's fun. I then spent some time grinding up my team and improving their movesets, but once I was done with that, it was time for the final stretch of this incredibly difficult challenge, the Sinnoh Pokemon League. First was Aaron, and this battle went smoothly. Ambush took down Yanmega, Heracross, and Vespiquen, while Korg took out Drapion and Gallant took out Scizor. Next was Bertha, and this battle also went smoothly. While Devios took out Gliscor, Tether handled the rest of her team, mainly using super powerful Grass Knots due to how heavy most of her Pokemon are. Next was Flint though, the Elite Four member that I was the most concerned about. All of his Pokemon are definitely faster than Korg the Golem and could definitely O-code it with a Solar Beam, and James's water moves would be nerfed by the sun. James also does not resist fire, and a lot of Flint's Pokemon had coverage for it. I wasn't sure if Korg and James, my 2 Pokemon whose stab attacks were super effective against fire, would be able to beat Flint. So I just swept with Gallant. Since I knew his Houndoom didn't have Will-O-Wisp, I was free to set up Sword Stance on turn 1 while it set up the Sun. Gallant then obliterated Houndoom, then Rapidash. Infernape came in and outsped, doing big sun-boosted damage with Flare Blitz, but Gallant held on, answering with a devastating Psycho Cut. Then all Gallant had to do was outspeed an O-code, Flareon, and Magmortar to win me the battle in a very fun way. The final Elite Four member was Lucian. Right off the bat, Devios took down Mr. Mime. He immediately brought in Gallade, and I brought in Ambush. This was dangerous since Ambush is weak to Psychic, but thankfully Ambush was faster, landed its fly, and KO'd the Gallade with it. Devios then handled Espeon and Alakazam, while Gallant used Sword Stance to O-code the Bronzong since I had no fire moves. Then finally, it was time for the Cynthia battle. The toughest battle of the toughest playthrough challenge I've ever done. Victory was so close I could taste it, but I still had to defeat her. James took on Spiritomb first, since he resisted all of its attacks. It took some hits and healing on her part, but eventually James took it down. Next was Garchomp, and thankfully Devios did its job, outspeeding and knocking it out in 1 hit. Next was Lucario, who Gallant close combated into oblivion. Next was the dreaded Togekiss, which Devios Ice Punched. This thing had to have lived on literally 1 HP, and that allowed it to fire back with a 4 times super effective Aura Sphere. I brought in Korg on the turn she healed, and risked an inaccurate but very powerful Stone Edge, and this stupid Togekiss barely survived again. The next turn, I clicked Rock Slide, certain I was doomed, but Korg barely held on from the Aura Sphere, landing its Rock Slide and taking Togekiss down. Ambush then easily handled Roserade, and finally Tether landed a critical hit Grass Knot on my Lodic, winning me the battle. With this glorious team that really needs to work on their Mike Wazowski posing, I completed the toughest playthrough challenge I've ever attempted. Gallant the Gallade was absolutely the MVP. The amount of times Swords Dance either saved my butt from a sticky situation or just won me the battle outright was many, and it was so fun. Thanks so much for watching, and an extra special thanks to my patrons over on Patreon who are helping support my channel independent of fluctuating YouTube ad rates. If you want to help support me the same way, the link is in the description below. Also, if you want to check out some more of my fun Pokemon content, I recommend these videos here. All right, that's all I have for now. So until next time, give hands. Happy April Fools.